This tale unfolds around Maddie Kelly, a literary editor employed by author Paul Kennedy, whom she adores. At Paul's new book signing, Madeline bubbles with excitement, for I am the author. He must discuss a crucial matter with her. No one anticipates that Paul will finally invite her to become his partner, as she believes he has hinted at this often. Her mother suggests that if he doesn't make an offer, Madeline should seize control and declare her affection. The pivotal dialogue between Mas and Paul is imminent. He confides in her that it's time to elevate their association to a higher tier, clearly referring to their professional collaboration, as he desires to be the sole contributor to his forthcoming novel. This revelation astonishes yet disheartens her, as she had hoped for a different type of proposal. Maddie's closest companions are present, including Emma, who instantly bonds with Paul, and they swiftly fall in love. No attempt is made to alleviate the tension by disrupting the moment, and Paul is prompted to recite a segment of his book to the attendees. As the story progresses, Polly and Maddie witness Emma's playful banter with Paul, sparking a sense of intrigue. They all later engage in conversation, where Emma's feigned interest in Paul becomes apparent to her friends, yet no one steps in to address it. On their way home, Emma reveals her budding connection with Paul, leaving behind her contact information in anticipation of future encounters. Maddie, envious and skeptical, questions the likelihood of a romantic development between Emma and Paul. As time swiftly advances, it is revealed that Paul and Emma is soon to be married. The wedding is destined to take place in Ireland, and the close-knit group has already embarked on their journey. Marie grapples with the reality that she is not the object of Paul's affection, but rather remains a trusted confidante. The lead character faces a daunting predicament when she mistakenly grabs the wrong luggage, leading to a confrontation with a young man who claims ownership. The scuffle results in the suitcase bursting open, exposing the man's clothing instead of her own. Maddie is left to rue the unfortunate luggage swap, and now must navigate the ensuing bureaucratic challenges. Maddie, left without her possessions, insists that the others proceed without her, promising to follow after completing the necessary paperwork. Unfortunately, her decision proves ill-advised as she steps out of the terminal to a taxi stand devoid of cabs. With no other choice, she boards a bus, coincidentally shared with James, the man involved in the luggage mix-up. They strike up a casual conversation. James, a nature photographer, mentions he's in town to visit friends. Maddie shares her own reason for travel: she's attending her best friend's wedding. A sudden lurch of the bus causes Paul's latest book to slip from Maddie's grasp, drawing a confession from James that he has yet to read it. Despite Paul's acclaim as a top-selling author in the UK, James is skeptical about the true merit of his work. His embarrassment deepens when Maddie mentions she's en route to the author's residence, and he becomes even more uncomfortable upon learning of her involvement in editing Paul's newest publication. After the exchange, Maddie finally arrives at Paul's grand estate, which seems lifted from the pages of a fairy tale. As the author, Paul leads his guests on an impromptu excursion. Upon their arrival at a scenic spot, the group debates whether to embark on a boating adventure. However, they ultimately decide against it, respecting the girl's discreet fear of water. Instead, she chooses to take a serene walk. As she wanders, she comes across a charming tree and a stone bench, an ideal spot for reflection. There, she calls her mother and shares with her mother over the phone her remorse for not following her advice to reveal her feelings to Paul. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a weak signal, and just then, a mysterious woman appears before Maddie. The woman declares that Maddie is at the heart of a place where wishes can be made. She encourages Maddie to make a wish, and though nothing seems to change at first, the woman summons a breeze. In the blink of an eye, Maddie is transported back to her room. She wakes up, questioning whether it was all a dream, but the reality of Paul taking a bath in her vicinity dispels her doubts. Later, when she encounters Emma, she pretends to be unaware of how she ended up in her room. However, as she leaves, she gives Emma a parting kiss, suggesting a final goodbye. In a whirl of bewilderment, she confides the recent perplexing events to her friend, Heater. Heater considers the peculiar behavior to be nothing more than cold feet before the wedding, a common enough occurrence. The plot thickens when a photograph, which once showed Emma and Paul together, now astonishingly features her instead, indicating that her wish has somehow come true. Meanwhile, the newlyweds set off on a bicycle ride, but Emma's lack of experience causes her to fall. Paul, however, continues on, finding that his friend's skill in cycling makes the journey all the more enjoyable. In a parallel scene, Paul's mother accompanies him to a tailor, with the intention of modernizing his traditional family attire. Despite his reluctance, his affection drives him to leave in search of the enigmatic woman who granted the wish, but in his haste, he collides with a vehicle. As fate would have it, the vehicle is owned by James, who has become a stranger to them all. Paul's mother, recognizing James's talent for photography, promptly recruits him to capture the wedding, and he agrees to take on the role. In the unfolding tale, Maddie agrees to compensate James with a sum triple his usual fee for his photography services, and he graciously accepts the generous offer that very night. As the evening wears on, Maddie, still coming to terms with the imminent changes in her life, accidentally directs her frustration at polo, momentarily forgetting their engagement. The unfortunate misunderstanding results in Polo sustaining a bruise, leading to an impromptu trip to scout wedding photo locations, a task Polo had only planned to assist with. Amidst the preparations, Maddie finds herself in a deep conversation with James, and they quickly discover they have much in common. Throughout their dialogue, James probes Maddie with pointed questions about Jake Paul's overbearing influence on the wedding plans and her apparent lack of assertiveness, particularly concerning her own literary endeavors. Maddie skillfully steers the conversation away from these probing inquiries. Despite the change of subject, Polo's concern about the bruise marring his face, which he fears may not heal in time for the wedding, lingers. Concurrently, Emma, who is clearly enamored with Paul, showers him with care and attention. As these personal dramas unfold, the weather takes a turn for the worse, complicating matters for Mary James. The relentless downpour forces them to retreat from the cliffside, as the inundated road compels them to find refuge in a nearby shelter. Maddie, caught in the moment, neglects to notify her fiancé of her unforeseen delay. In the warmth of the shelter, Maddie and James find solace in each other's company, sharing a spontaneous dance that lightens the mood. Meanwhile, Maddie's mother faces her own set of challenges, missing her scheduled flight to Ireland due to unforeseen travel disruptions. The dawn of the next day brings further obstacles for Maddie. Her car succumbs to mechanical failure, adding to her tardiness for the wedding rehearsal. In her absence, Emma steps up, making her way to the venue with determination. Upon Maddie's belated arrival, she offers her apologies for the delay. However, her attempt to slip back into her duties is thwarted when she catches a glimpse of the wish-granting woman through a window, an encounter that results in a sudden head injury. Despite the series of unfortunate events, the couple decides to move forward with their dinner arrangements. During a light-hearted game designed to test the parents' knowledge of each other, Maddie draws a blank on the details of their proposal. Fortunately, her boyfriend is there to fill in the gaps, recounting the cherished memory for all to hear. The truth of Maddie's proposal to Paul comes to light, casting a shadow over the festivities as Paul's reactions lay bare their profound differences. The undeniable bond between Emma and Paul becomes increasingly apparent, prompting Maddie to reevaluate her decision to marry, a decision that now seems misaligned with her hopes and dreams. Amidst the whirlwind of emotions, Mabel awakens on the day meant to be marked by joy, only to be gripped by doubt. Seeking counsel, she turns to James, who offers a gentle nudge towards introspection, urging her to ponder the gravity of her commitment. Maddie stands at a crossroads, her heart torn between the love she believed she had for Paul and the reality that confronts her. As her mother faces divine intervention on her journey, Maddie steps into her wedding dress, a symbol of a future she's no longer certain of. A heartfelt exchange with Emma brings revelations of shared feelings with Paul. And in this moment of truth, Maddie finds the grace to recognize and accept Emma's feelings, a testament to the strength and kindness within her. In the aftermath of her realization, Maddie is determined to set things right, acknowledging that her wish was the impetus for the recent chaos. As the wedding ceremony begins, Poole stands at the altar with anticipation, but Maddie pauses at the threshold. In a moment that shocks the assembly, she discards her mother's gown and announces her decision not to marry Paul. Her confession is clear: she does not love him, and her intense look towards James speaks volumes. Paul, feeling betrayed, points an accusing finger at James, blaming him for the fiasco. A confrontation breaks out between James and Paul. Maddie chases after James, who, burdened by guilt, believes they should separate. Despite Maddie's affectionate gesture, James is convinced that a relationship emerging from such strife is doomed. In her quest for a return to simplicity, Maddie seeks out St. Bridget, pleading for the reversal of her wish. Her heartfelt appeal, made from the ancestral rock, is powerful enough to undo the events that followed her arrival in Ireland. With a sense of relief, she steps back into her role as Emma's maid of honor, and the wedding proceeds with joy and celebration for all. After the wedding festivities, Paul approaches Maddie with news of his book's triumph and the pressing need for a follow-up. He delegates the task of writing the sequel to her while he's away on his honeymoon, insisting on retaining sole authorship. Maddie, yearning for acknowledgement as a co-author, turns down the offer and suggests that Paul should write his own story. Later, Maddie encounters James and suggests they go on an adventure together. She reveals her ambition to write a novel inspired by the cliffs, subtly suggesting the beginning of a romantic connection between them. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to catch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.